Tell us a little bit about your company, and then tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I work for Kendra Scott right now, and I'm the data and analytics manager there. So we're a smaller company, so we get to pretty much do everything from a full stack BI and analytics professional area. So Kendra Scott is a local Austin company, born and bred in Texas, entrepreneur-based company. Kendra Scott herself developed it a while back. She started out developing hats for cancer patients, actually, and trying to sell that. And she just migrated into jewelry and started selling fashion jewelry, like high-end fashion jewelry across the whole country now. It started in Texas, but has expanded across to over 109 stores now. So we're pretty much everywhere.
And you guys are online, but you're predominantly a retail store, and you do events and a lot of face-to-face. Your people are very important, and I imagine with the global pandemic, things have changed for the company, and they've changed for you. Talk about how things have changed for Kendra, and then I'd love to hear about personally, like birthdays and anniversaries looking different, and eating, exercise, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, Kendra Scott in general, yeah, for sure is a retail based wow customer service. Our major pillars are family, fashion, and philanthropy. So we do a lot of philanthropy with all of our jewelry we sell. We try to host events that allow local charities to raise money, where we give 20% of all profits back to local charities, as well as do a lot of national based charity givebacks. Like right now, we're doing a lot of friendship bracelet. There's a friendship bracelet you can buy where almost 70% of all of the money goes back to local hospital charities and stuff like that. So it's very retail based, very physical store based. We have beautiful stores, and the customer service is our top priority. So it's changed a ton because we closed all 109 stores. We've slowly but surely reopened a few here and there. Texas is pretty much reopened to limited capacity, and a few other states, but we've still been closed out. So the big shift has been to full online. We've always had online retail, but it's always been like about 60-40, 60% retail, in-store retail revenue, and 40% online. And that's completely flipped to almost the other way. I mean, it went to zero on the retail side, but the retail side has gone up almost 100 and sometimes 200% in days where there's big profits or big things going on, like Mother's Day, holidays area. Mother's Day for us is a huge holiday for us. So we did really well, but
Wow,
it's been crazy. We've done a lot of, and then from the technology side, even we had to switch out to focusing on online, like instead of retail. Like we upgraded our POS systems, we've upgraded everything. We are in the middle of redoing all of our point of sale systems to be no register, it's all mobile POS, so the customers can walk around with the sales associates with an iPad to check out. Like that's our focus, getting that up and running. And then we just did a complete 180 where we're just not doing anything at the store, but we had to enable the ability for our online orders to be shipped from a store and our online orders to be picked up in a store. We had to enabled some curbside. So our website, you can order online now and pick up in store, or call a store, schedule an appointment to go to the store to pick up things curbside. Tons of innovations, just like crazy, and things that should be 6-month projects that happen in a couple weeks, right? And it kind of shows what you can do if you're up against the wall versus you don't have to worry. You have all the time in the world. You tend to spend that time, but when you're up against the wall, you can get things done that you thought would take 6 months in a couple weeks.
yeah, absolutely. Like your priorities change, everything. Like you said, it creates new opportunities. And I guess we're kind of getting to the point, you guys are starting to open stores a little bit, or is it just for delivery and pickup?
Yeah, there are stores that are open, yeah, in Texas, limited capacity stores.
So everybody's talking about, I can't wait till things get back to normal. But if they stop and think about it for a minute, a lot of people are saying, well, I think there's going to be a new normal. What do you think that new normal is going to look like? And I don't know, when do you think we're going to get there?
I mean, I definitely think there'll be a new normal. I don't know that it'll. I think Americans are a little too hard-headed to like let this be like, okay, I agree. Everybody wears masks from here on out forever, and like we're too much of a free country to be able to like be pushed down like this. I mean,
Hmm.
like even like Elon Musk talking about, you know, you can't shut me down. Like we're free to do what we want. I feel like that mentality is going to come back at some point. So I don't know that it'll be hugely different, but I think from a company perspective, I think the thoughts and how we operate are tremendously changing. There will be a huge new normal. I mean, just the shift to online. Just to think back, like at Kendra Scott, we just implemented an order management system, which allows our e-com orders to be flow through to different DCs. So we could do multiple DCs, ship from store, all that stuff. We just implemented that in August of last year. And if we didn't have that in place, I mean, we've almost said we'd probably be out of business filing for bankruptcy, because without that order management system in place, we wouldn't be able to route orders over to another DC, because our Austin DC had to shut down for a while. Like, and it was limited capacity. You could only have a few people in there. It wasn't deemed a mandatory workplace yet. So we had to do a lot of stuff to shift that DC work to an actual distribution center that was allowed to stay up and running, because they're critical distribution center for critical products. So I think that new normal, as well as the workplace new normal, obviously we're at home, working from home. We've been working from home since, I don't know, late in March, maybe early April. That's spawning a lot of changes. Like you've seen Twitter and other companies say you never have to come back to the office. I mean, we're kind of doing the same thing, but I feel like we'll still be in the office a couple of days a week, but it's spawning the talks with executives on what does the workplace look like, right? I mean, we were getting to the point where we were crowded out of our HQ again. Like we were going to have to expand, possibly buy more space. And now it's like, that is way off the table. It's like, well, how about we just take the current space we have and make it a shared work environment, where when people come in to work, to meet in person, then you just have a meeting spot and some place to sit. You don't actually have a desk. So
Yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, there's tons of that going on.
Start hoteling again, right?
Yeah. The hoteling
What's
stuff.
old is new and new is old. Yeah, man. So
Yeah. And
you know all this stuff. It's kind of cool. You're describing all these initiatives, but you have analytics built to be able to track how those things are going that you've developed over this time, right?
yeah, it was, we built out a lot of the reporting for BOPUS, which is buy online, pick up in store, was our huge enablement that we did for COVID to make sure that people could order online and pick up in the store, especially for the Mother's Day launch, because we couldn't, like, even shipping is still backed up and logged out, just because we still can't have that many people in the DCs, and there's lots of new processes at the DCs to make sure you're 6 feet apart, make sure, so it just slows us down from getting shipments out. And Mother's Day is one of those days where you want your present to be there on Mother's Day. But in this case, that was our big driving factor, was to allow a pickup in store. So at least you could place your order online and go to the store and pick it up, so you had it in hand. So that was a huge driving factor there, as well as we basically had the distribution centers live and running full capacity. So it was pretty crazy.
And you were telling me earlier that analytics life cycle of as you see orders going through the system, you wonder, like, hey, is some of this inventory correct? And that shines an even brighter light on the things in your system that you kind of taken for granted that you got by with. But now, if you've got such a tight margin for order fulfillment, you got to get some of those numbers right, and then they start calling on you again, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a big piece of our dashboard was showing orders coming in, and I mean, even all our executives are watching in real time, making sure like the huge spike comes in, and then we had a order status dashboard that allowed us to see orders that were in process. Were they being picked and packed and ready to be picked up? How many were sitting there and ready to be picked up versus shipped, and how many got canceled, which is basically shining a light on in-store inventory and making sure that's accurate. Now that we're publishing that in-store inventory to e-com, that inventory has to be correct. And it causes all sorts of crazy, I mean, it's omni-channel at its finest, which I never realized really how much complications that provides. Like that you have to have sales decrementing inventory in real time to have an accurate picture. You sold it from the store or you sold it from the web, but it basically reserved a piece of jewelry in the store, like it's reserving inventory. But how does the customer, the sales associate, see that if there's 2 pieces of that jewelry left and you have somebody in the store that wants 2 pieces, but little did you know that somebody had just reserved one of those online? Like how do you make sure that doesn't happen? And in that case, you would probably sell it to the person that's at the store, and
Right.
then you'd have to cancel the other order. So the cancel rates are a big analytic that people are watching right now to make sure that our inventory is correct and things are working as they should be.
It's kind of crazy. Who knew that it wasn't just putting up a website and turning on e-commerce to make your store, your retail stores into
it seems easy when you think about it, but there's lots of stuff happening behind the scenes to make that stuff work.
Right. You told me also that you celebrated your anniversary over COVID-19. Did it look any different this year? I guess your first year, right?
Yeah. Probably. I mean, we probably would do more, but yeah, we're more of a homebodies anyways. We don't go out and party that much, so I don't think it affect. I mean, it did affect Mother's Day, right? Most of the time I'd always be at my mom's house, but they're older and I don't even want to risk accidentally giving them COVID because they're in that population that wouldn't be able to handle it very well. So yeah, definitely things going back and forth to Dallas as much as I usually do is not happening.
Yeah. I was traveling to Houston almost every week before this happened, and then as soon as it happened, all of a sudden, I'm home, just like that.
Right.
So during the time, I'm going to switch into a lighter note. During the time that you've been looking at those 4 walls, playing outside with the dog, you got hooked on any television shows or activities that you've been doing during the time?
It's funny. That's like the you don't get hooked anymore. You get hooked for a short amount of time now. Like with Netflix, you can just binge watch everything. So it's like one season you can watch in like a couple weeks, whereas before you're hooked on this show, you're hooked for the year or like 2 years. But now it's like, well, I was hooked for a couple weeks and now I'm on to the next thing. So that's a new normal, I think, for most people, realizing that like Tiger King came out and was watched and it's over. And even like main series like Ozarks, we watched Ozarks is a big one that I got hooked on and watched all 3 seasons. And now it's like, now what? Like you're not really hooked for as long as you used to be.
It's true. We have adapted and changed. So I don't want to keep you too much longer. Anything else that you want to share with other people out there making it work out in the analytics community, or anything else you want to say?
No. I mean, I think it's some crazy times causing for some crazy innovation. So I'm excited to see how some really smart people in the data analytics space innovate through this pandemic and see what comes out of the other end.
Man, well, thank you guys for being out on the forefront of it. It sounds like you're really pushing innovation, like you said, out of necessity. And thanks for taking the time. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon, man.